This was the place, all right. I could feel the hard ground soften under the heels of my feet. I had received another call with that same muffled voice, tipping me off to a pit in some rich asshole's back paddock. And this one was big. I shone my cheap flashlight around to assess the scale of it. Damn batteries. But I needn't have bothered. Lightning lit up the field like Poseidon's trident. The blood was still fresh, hard to make out through all the mud, but I could smell it. They must have killed the poor bastards right here, execution style.
You find something, Colt?
Yeah, something. There was something else in the air, a faint aroma like incense. The wind billowed around me. I grasped the wispy shape, silhouetted against the angry sky, and I caught it. A black ribbon. Sandalwood.
Detective?
Cordon off the area and keep a couple of officers stationed here overnight. We'll bring in the excavators tomorrow.
Sir.
Well, well, well. If it isn't everyone's favorite detective, James Colt.
Victor Cash, one of the fat cats with big-time stakes in the slave trade, insists all the journalists swap out the S in his name for a $sign whenever he appears in the social pages. This prick just loves seeing his name in the paper. And you are?
I should have known you'd be behind this, Colt. The only reason you were able to get this job at all was that your father was the commissioner's favorite pet. Just plain luck. This farce of an investigation will be washed away even before the storm clears.
Is that so?
Do you really think these officers respect you, Detective? Look at the color of your fur. You're not even a real person, are you? You're kinda useful for one thing and one thing only.
To lock up scumbags like you?
Why no, Detective. To make the master race millions and millions of dollars. That is, of course, until you become slow and useless. And then, well... You remember the day your mother came last at the Warrnambool Cup? I do believe that's the day she mysteriously disappeared, was it not? Officers, I'm dreadfully worried about how the good detective will be able to drive without any hands.
Who's good enough for you?
Colt! Your luck's going to run out soon, and when it does, I'll be
Luck. Now there's a word worth two sides of a coin. On the one hand, you got your punters with their bags of cash, gambling to win or lose their hard-earned clams. Their biggest risk is digging a few more ditches until their next paycheck. Then there's the flip side, the slave race. If they're fast enough, they get hosed down, locked in the stables, and forced not to think about how their friends disappeared. Their biggest risk is the ditch itself. Luck. Sandalwood.
Aren't you gonna pour one for me?
Stick 'em up. How'd you get in here?
Oh, come now, Detective. I think we both deserve a drink. After all, you would never have found Cash's pit without little old me. Cheers.
You're the one who's been feeding me the tips. Your voice sounds different in person.
A little less hoarse, perhaps.
Perhaps a little more.
How can you be surprised? Did you really think one of them would care about what happens to one of us?
More like 100 of us. I'm guessing there'll be 30 bodies in tonight's bed alone. But this isn't a matter of us versus them. It's homicide, plain and simple. Everyone's equal.
Really, Detective? Don't think I didn't do my homework on you. Oh, I see you found my ribbon. I hope you don't mind if I just reach into your pocket and grab it. Oh my, aren't you a stallion? Is that a baseball bat in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Enough. Here's your ribbon. Now make with your name, Toots. She pinned the black ribbon to her lapel.
The name's Cavallo. Scarlet Cavallo. Now take a seat, big boy. You think there are only hundreds of bodies waiting to be found? You might want to jot down some notes.
I eventually holstered my weapon and sat down. For the next hour, I listened to the dame. Turns out I'd proven myself by investigating the lead she'd given me, and that's why she decided to let me on more crimes she knew about. A lot more. Was she some kind of undercover agent? No. Turns out the broad was part of a resistance group. Call themselves the Coalition for the Protection of Racehorses. They had members all over the country, turning up to rallies, keeping tabs on slave owners and privateers.
I've got a little something extra for you, Detective.
Just when I thought she'd already given me enough for one session, Scarlet began to unbutton her blouse and reach into her bra. Let's keep things professional, dollface.
Nobody needs to know.
Before I could stop her, she'd pulled it out, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
So you remember what you're fighting for.
The dame stood up and walked over to my side of the desk, leaned over me, and pinned a black ribbon to my holster. The scent of her sandalwood perfume was intoxicating.
You're a good horse, James.
She kissed me on the cheek with her bright red lipstick.
Keep fighting the good fight.
With that, she stepped out of my office and into the night. I finished my drink, slid my ribbon and notes into the desk drawer, and headed home to get some well-needed shut-eye. Tomorrow was going to be a big day.